Hello, so my name is Lucy Welch. I'm your Student Inquiries Advisor, so we may have spoken on the phone or via email before. So thank you for attending the Masters of Business and Management course webinar today. So as an attendee, your mic and videos have been disabled, so you'll just need to use the chat function to interact. So whilst we do welcome questions, to get the most of the presentation, we do ask that you submit questions through the Q&A section on the right-hand side of your screen at the end of the presentation. However, we will also be monitoring the chat section throughout. So the QA section, as I mentioned, is on the right-hand side of the screen. You can submit your questions, and you can also upvote any questions that you think are particularly relevant to you or that you'd like to be answered more imminently. So with that said, I'll pass over to Tom, who can then start explaining about the course. So I'll pass over to Tom now.
as well, and there's different ways of looking at how firms are performing in terms of income generation and indeed expenditure and debt. So we cover as much as we can, as I say, the broad areas of management. A key part of the programme, though, is not to sort of see management as itself, but it's who manages organisations and who manages people within them. And that's why right from the get-go, we develop or seek to develop our students' personal skills and capabilities as managers. How do we think about different parts of our business? What aspects should we consider? Who do we listen to? Where do we get our information from? Who's the author of different types of information? And that in itself means that we, from time to time, have to write reports, give presentations, work with other people in terms of negotiation, and also develop a range of contacts that perhaps over the course of your working life, you will network and they will be able to bring some value to your job. And lastly, the last couple of areas there in terms of problem solving and how to work in groups. Those of you who perhaps have worked in the past in organisations will know the benefit of that, how that can affect working relationships, and we will likewise do the same thing.
Tom, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but don't kill me for this. There's been a technical error, and we were double checking it, and they said that they couldn't hear us. So I've just played around with it.
Yep.
The mic is now on, so I'm just telling them to stop and see where we're at, because they're going to, we can't use it because they haven't, the sound hasn't came through.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. It's only because of that. On their actual presentation, this needs to be on, and I think it was maybe the same issue here.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen the setup either, but when I was pushing them, they said at the right hand side there's a symbol. You can't see it here because that's on, but it's there. Look.
So what are we going to do then? Are we going to?
Have you got time to just do the nitty gritty? And
what I could do is I could start again from this slide and just say, right, you can say that we're sorry with the technical issues. What I'll do is I'll not bother with the kind of Stirling stuff and all that.
Yeah.
I'll just start from here and run through it.
Okay. It's okay. We can carry on. He's only on the first slide about the course. Right.
So can I just confirm that they can hear me now?
Yeah.
And then we heard you interrupt Tom.
We're sorting it. It's fine. We can start now.
Sorry, Tom. We were assured everything would be smooth sailing and somebody would pick it up if there was any technical issues.
Yep. Okay, hopefully you all can hear me now. I do apologise for the technical problems. I'm not going to go over the early slides. I'm just going to pick up on the Master of Business Management at Stirling University. And again, this is why you've shown an interest in this particular MSc course. What I will say is the course is what we call a conversion course. So it's designed for anybody who is perhaps planning a career in management but may not have a management background. So you may well be studying just now or have studied other subjects, perhaps in the sciences, perhaps in languages, perhaps in some form of engineering, and that you are perhaps interested in coming along and doing a 1-year conversion course in management. And that's really what this course is all about. What we do in the MBM at Stirling is to provide a broad education over 12 months in the what's often called the functional areas of management. That's going to be things like operations management, strategic management, people management, marketing, finance, and so on, which I'll cover in later slides. And more importantly, how these all link together. There will be sort of some lecturers will pick up on some topical issues, and they may compare different management techniques to understand work issues, for example. Which topical just now is something called Brexit, but it could be internationalisation, it could be the effect of technology on work. We also tend to, in the programme, use a number of management techniques, sometimes they're called tools, that allow us to use information that we can collect and to come up with an analysis to allow us to make decisions. And finally, there's companies and organisations have to have some idea of their finances and where the money's coming and where the money's going, and issues associated with debt. So we look through all of these broad areas. A key selling point for the programme is what it does for individual students, and we're not just kind of bringing in students to study for the masters and then we let them go. We see students as being individuals, and we really want to develop their personal skills as potential managers of the future. So we put a big emphasis right at the get-go, at the start of the semester, and there's an undercurrent of personal and professional development throughout the programme, which develops individuals as critical thinkers, allows them to develop presentation skills, different sort of presentation, be it written or be it presentations to an audience. Plenty of opportunities to develop softer skills such as networking and negotiation and working in groups. That's a key selling point for us. That you'll find that the minute you arrive at Stirling, immediately we're thinking of you as an individual and how you might develop in future. I'll just go back and jump forward. I apologise for that. Well, the programme itself, what sort of things will you study? The academic year at Stirling's consists of 2 semesters, an autumn and a spring semester. In an autumn semester, before we start, it's not actually on this slide, before we start the actual teaching, we have a 2-week leadership programme called Flying Start, and that's where the personal and professional development comes in. What we do in the 2 weeks is to introduce you to a whole series of activities that begin to challenge how you think about things. From a cultural perspective, what are your own beliefs and values about organisations and people and how they work? It's also designed to I guess, develop your confidence and self-esteem, and how to share your ideas. Because at the end of the day, it's not it's not one-way traffic. We're interested in our students and what they think and how they view different approaches to management. So there's a whole range of different activities and workshops where we begin to build on a number of areas that the academic modules will also develop over the course of the year. We're interested in how you interact with people, because a lot of management and leadership is about working with people. Sometimes that can be comfortable, sometimes that can be a bit uncomfortable, but nevertheless, working in organisations is all about that. And you'll be working with a whole range of other students who are undertaking master's programmes at Stirling as well. So you're beginning to develop a network, if you like. Once that 2-week programme is finished, we then begin with the academic autumn modules. And as you can see from the slide here, the personal and professional development is right at the top of that. I've talked about that. But we'll begin to look at the key academic areas associated with management: accounting and finance, economics, operations, responsible business and society, and lastly, entrepreneurship theory and practice. These modules are delivered what we call on block, So rather than, say, across a whole semester, you'll do a module for 2 weeks and a break, then another 2 weeks and a break, then another 2 weeks and a break. So it's very, very intense, which is intended to be so, because when you're having to manage time and manage assignments, etc., it's almost like the sort of pressure you'll be under when you work for organisations in a managerial capacity. So very right from, as I say, from the get-go, we're preparing you for a management role. If we move on to the spring semester, again, you can see personal and professional development continues. The spring semester is slightly different in that you now have the opportunity to do electives, but you will continue on studying core management modules. You can see here marketing, people, strategic management, and also we begin to prepare you for what you'll do in the summer, which is either going to be a dissertation on an academic management topic, or a consultancy project where we embed students with organisations who come up with a business and management problem that they would like investigated. As far as our electives go, you can choose from a number of electives. You're able to choose 2 electives from the list that we can see here. Managing change, if you want to do more finance, there's corporate finance. There's business analytics, which looks at looking at information systems in particular and how they're used in organisations. We also have some classic examples of subjects that you would study, such as managing a project from start to finish, organisational behaviour, again, which looks at how people and groups interact within companies, innovation management, or managing something that is relatively new, perhaps, and the effect that might have on a company, developing a new product, for example, or a new service. Business improvement, new venture creation, which is, again, building on modules that students will have taken in the autumn semester, particularly the entrepreneurship and how that ties in with new venture creation, business consulting, and again, managing in emerging economies. So these are some of the electives that you can choose from. And again, I'm not a subject specialist in them all, but certainly if anyone's interested in these topics, I can certainly find out a bit more about them. If you can see the next slide, this is really what an academic year looks like at Stirling. If you split it up into different areas, you can see right at the very top, the top blue box is flying start, I mentioned earlier. But what we have then is the autumn semester, and that sets out the order that you will do particular modules in. And then the spring semester, exactly the same, and then the options. So that's really how we lay out the MBM programme at Stirling, and you'll see the last 2 boxes at the bottom of the slide, either a dissertation or a consultancy project. And most programmes will be set out this way, so that gives you some idea of what you'll be studying, and almost in sequential in terms of the modules that are offered there. A little bit about how we teach and assess. Each module is different in terms of the actual corporate content. So we tend to use a variety of different ways to present material and get feedback from students, and try to engage your students in the actual modules. So you'll find that we have, for example, sometimes there may be classic lectures where core material will be provided. These lectures will be loaded onto the virtual learning environment, the Canvas, for students to pick up at their leisure. You may find that some of these classes could be quite big in terms of 25, 30 students plus. However, we also run seminars which has got groups of smaller students where there's opportunity to look at the core content and to spend a bit more time and a bit more depth in terms of the subject matter. Increasingly, we have computer simulations. These can be used to provide almost a scenario of how companies are working in a safe environment. Most of these are all web-based, and you can manage businesses. You can make decisions based on information that the tutor will release during a course of a week or so that you're using it, and you have to react to different things happening in your organisation's environment and manage the business. That begins to bring in a bit of practicality of applying the theory in practice. We have a series of also workshops and in particular guest lecturers who are experienced managers and employers. They'll come to the campus and will offer their insights as to how they run their business or businesses and how they interact with their organisations. Again, just to bring the theory to life a bit more. We're fairly big on group work and people working together because that mirrors what happens in the environment. And how we assess all these is through a mixture of individual and group assignments. There may also be some class tests where that's appropriate in areas such as finance, for example. I mentioned earlier, group work is part of most modules. Usually that will account for around about 50% of the assessment. And again, we tie that in with the personal development as we go through the programme. Of course, this isn't a one-way street. We're very much interested, indeed we have to respond to our students, and we have mechanisms in place that provide that opportunity, where each programme will have a rep, a student representative. There's usually 2 per programme, and we'll meet twice a semester just to discuss how things are happening. And this is a really, really good way of again developing your personal skills of representation and taking the views of what can be quite often a diverse group of students and providing their views and giving us the opportunity to respond to that. Likewise, at the end of each module, there'll be a module evaluation questionnaire that students will complete. And again, that gives us additional information on how well we're doing and how well we're meeting the needs of our students on the MBA programme. Some of the benefits of the course, again, I mentioned this, that the MBM is a very general management course. It's not just about, for example, private sector. Many of our students go on to work in the private sector, but some also have found placements and graduate training schemes in the public and third or not-for-profit sectors. Sometimes our guest speakers also will mention opportunities that our students can engage with them and potentially lead into employment. But the main thing is that by the end of the programme, you'll have a very, very practical and indeed contemporary perspective on a range of business topics that will allow you to go forward in your chosen career. In terms of what you should expect when you come to Stirling, if you decide to come here, we have a range of students in a broad mix. We have some UK, we call domestic students, a number of European students in recent years have been students from Germany, Norway, France, Spain, for example. Also, there's a smattering of North American students and Canada. Increasingly, there's a number of students from Asia and indeed the Middle East. So any given year, there's at least 11 different nationalities represented here. So it's a broad mix, which is really nice to see. Just I guess from previous students, just some quotes of what they felt they gained at the university. From Razin Mohammed, MBM 2015, student from India. The main thing that he got from that was self-confidence, the structure, the various events, the ability to communicate with other nationalities in English. Again, it's really improved Razin's outlook on life and the experience again of working with different people. Florian, again, one of our students from Germany, from the same cohort. Again, he came here because of the reputation of Stirling, and he benefited from a wide range of modules, and of course, the interaction with other students and lecturers. So again, different perspectives on the course itself. You may, just to sort of finish off with, think about what you're going to do after Stirling, after your MBM. The course itself, given a bit of history, it was introduced in 2008 and it has evolved over the last 10 years. And many of our graduates have gone to build careers in a variety of sectors around the world, and indeed make a really exciting contribution to a range of organisations, which could be local government, central government, in the UK National Health Service, and indeed in universities, IKEA trading, consultancy firms such as Parabola and BDO International. It should be pointed out that Stirling is also ranked 7th in the UK for employability of graduates, with 96% of our graduates in employment or further study within 6 months of graduating, and I think that's something that we're quite proud of. We have a 5-star rating for an excellence for employability, and that's the Stirling MBM. I'm happy now to take any questions from anybody, and hope you do ask me specific questions. Yes, hello again. I have a question from Leanne. Do you work with any external businesses and projects? We do. We typically, earlier I talked about what you would do in the summer in terms of a project, and that would either be an academic dissertation or a consultancy project. And we have links with a local, the fairly local companies, such as some local local banks, for example, local dairies, that sort of thing, who approach us and saying that we have a number of openings in the summer for students to work on specific projects, and you would be allocated a supervisor within the university who would supervise the project, and you would be embedded within the company. And the ones I've worked with in recent years have been a national bank, have been a small charitable organisation, and indeed one of the local dairies. So yes, we do work with external businesses, and they are vitally important to us.
Hello, so thank you very much for attending our webinar today. So this will be circulated within the next few days, and if you do have any further questions, you can email us at study@stir.ac.uk.